So this is our sixth webinar in the series. These advanced webinars we keep on doing, so we keep on doing like a trainer wise. So I am taking this series, then some other faculty will do the next series. So these webinars keep on taking place every Saturday. If of course there is an emergency, then the webinar may get cancelled. Otherwise these webinars happen every Saturday, and you should attend these only after you are done with your basic concepts. And after you are done with the basic concepts, whatever you learned during the webinar, you are supposed to go back and practice and put that into use. If you are not able to put that into use, then no point coming back from the next one. So whatever tactics, whatever strategies that we discuss, just do try it out when you are solving your book 2 questions or your online, whatever you are solving, try to use those tactics. So as I say, this is our second webinar in the CR critical reasoning series. So we have done assumptions. When we as faculty, we usually find that students get assumption questions wrong a lot. Their accuracy is pretty low on assumption questions. So that's why we took that up first. The next is now today we are going to do another type of questions which students are scared of. The questions are not that difficult, it's not difficult, but the students are scared of that. So can you guess what that topic is? What are you scared of? Yep, boldface. So as I said, students are scared of boldface, and I don't want you guys to be scared of, but you should also know that boldface questions are really high difficulty level questions. So you will probably get a boldface question, only if you are, only if you are doing really well in your exam, right? So boldface questions, we have a lot of students who end up getting a 38, 39 or 40 in their verbal, in the actual GMAT, and they don't get a single boldface question. So if you're getting a boldface questions in your in your GMAT exam, that means you are doing well, and that should give you the confidence not to panic when solving that question. And even if you get the boldface question wrong in the actual GMAT, then the next question would still be of a higher difficulty level as compared to the one before the boldface. I hope you are able to understand what I'm trying to say. So if on question number 20 you got the boldface question in your actual GMAT exam, you get it wrong, then your question number 21 would still be of higher difficulty level than question number 19. So you don't lose much, but of course you have a lot to gain if you get your boldface questions correct. So we as I said, we have had like a lot of students who have got 40, 41 in their verbal, the verbal section of the actual GMAT, and they did not get any boldface. So so boldface questions, that's why there are not too many boldface questions to practice on. If you need practice, then there are tons of weakening questions, there are lots of strengthening questions, there are a lot of paradox questions, but boldface questions are not too many questions to practice, purely because there are not too many boldface questions that students get. So if you look at the official guide also, it is very few boldface questions. If you look at in our GMAT, those of you who are classroom students, we have a book called GMAT book 2, right? The GMAT book 2 questions are actually discarded questions of official guides. So since official guide 7th, since the 7th edition of official guide. So whenever a new official guide comes, the some questions are replaced with newer questions. So the book 2 questions are actually official guide discarded questions. So they are also official questions. That means they are also actual GMAT questions. So in our entire official guide, we have like more than 350 CR questions, of which only 2 are boldface. Purely because purely because boldface questions are not that common. So and that's why students start getting scared. There is not, because you don't get enough practice, and there will not be enough practice, let me tell you that. So you'll have to learn these strategies, you will have to try them out on the same questions again and again, kind of thing. You will not, even on the internet or anywhere, you will not get enough boldface questions to practice upon. However, having said that, excuse me, as I said, if you're getting a boldface question in your actual GMAT, this you should like pat yourselves on the back. You are doing really good, and if you don't get a boldface question in the exam, that's okay. You will still get up a you have the chance of getting a 40-41 in your verbal, so don't worry about that, right? Okay. Any questions till now? Anybody, any questions? Okay, right, moving on. So before heading into boldface, I just want to briefly cover some basics of general critical reasoning, because the basis remains the same. That when you see the word argument, it means the entire passage. You will not get an answer that is 100% correct. It's not math. 2 + 2 is always 4, but in CR, especially CR, you'll have to pick the closest answer, right? And you cannot think of an answer. If you try to think of an answer before looking at the options, then that's not the right way to go, right way to try and solve CR questions. Words such as not less, not more, not higher actually means equal, right? Not lower does not mean not, if I say that he is not shorter than him, that does not mean that he is taller. It just means that it is equal. So you just have to know these stuffs are given there in your book 1, but still I don't know how many of you have had the chance to go through the CR tips of your book 1. If you have not gone through if you are not thorough with the CR tips of your book 1, then you should start that. Words such as information, findings, evidence, assertion, they are all facts, right? You will see these words a lot in boldface. We'll talk about that little bit. So then words such as claim, argues, suggests, predicts, judgment, they can all be taken as opinions, right? So avoid harsh and categorical answers, right? And you should look for some there are always some keywords, right? In boldface, I will talk specifically about what those keywords, right? So yes, Rishi, I will keep on asking if you have any doubts, of course, right? Okay, so these are some general rules of CR. Now let's come down to the specific to boldface. So Rishi, I would not be answering any questions other than boldface, because today's session is for boldface. But you have your, you are from Indore, so you have your faculty Srivachan. You can definitely you can direct your questions to Srivachan, or you should be actually attending the book 2 webinars. Then everything related to the book 2 will get resolved, right? Oh, that's okay. He'll be back on Monday. So Srivachan is back on Monday, so you can ask your doubts on Monday, or keep on attending the book 2 webinars. Right? All right. So this is for only classroom students, of course. Right now, coming to boldface, this remains true, of course. Claim, judgment, prediction, all of that, they mean the opinion, and hence they can be attacked, right? Facts, findings, evidence, information, assertion, we have talked about that. Assertion, they are facts and hence cannot be cannot be disputed. So you cannot say, oh, this is wrong or this is that, whatever. Consideration, explanation, premise, these words when you see in an answer option, they mean reason. So reason for something. Conclusion and position, they mean whatever the stand or whatever the not even opinion, what the author's stand is, basically. So conclusion and position, right? So these are some general words that you should know specific to boldface. You will find these words, you will find these words in the answer option. So when you see the word claim, you should know that it is opinion. If when you see the word findings, you should know that they're talking about the facts, right? So this will help you identify what the portion is. Now another tool for boldface is that there are usually, sometimes there can be only one boldface, by the way, very rarely, but there can be only one boldface, right? But most questions there are two boldface in a question, and I have also seen questions where there are 3 boldfaces, right? So which is, I think, probably was an experimental question, I don't know, but most common type is that where there are 2 boldfaces, right? Now if you try to solve for both of them, if you're trying to find out for both of them together, you will go wrong. So you should do one at a time, you know. So eliminate one at a time. That will help you you know, it's just like sentence correction, right? When you first do eliminate, you eliminate based on one rule, then you start to eliminate based on a second rule. Similarly, you know, boldface, you know, you whatever you are confident of, right? Maybe the first one, maybe the second one, solve for one at a time. Try to eliminate it. So if you are looking, let's say, first of all, at the first boldface, you will be able to eliminate 1 or 2 or 3 options. So your job for the second boldface, you know, remains becomes easier. So try to eliminate or try to identify one at a time, not both together, right? Okay, so next is that, you know, this is one thing. Second is that there are some specific keywords within the argument, right? So very often you will see in the option that, okay, first boldface is something and the second boldface supports that, or goes against it, or opposes that. Now look for keywords such as however, you know. So that will tell you the flow of the argument, right? Whether there are two contradicting or two conflicting views or not. So it will help you identify the flow, right? So look for keywords such as however, despite, in spite of, you know, anything that shows contrast, right? These words, they show contrast, right? So so when you have these contrast words, so you know, it will help you identify whether the two boldface are on the same page, or they are you know, they are expressing views against one another. So that will be one more thing. Very often you will be down to two options. One option will say that the first option is supporting the second, first boldface is supporting the second boldface. The other option will say that the second boldface is something that is you know, that opposes the first boldface. So you know, if you have the keywords that indicate that there is a contradiction or contrasting opinion, then you know that then you know which option to choose for. So look out for these keywords also. So when you are reading the main, you know, the argument, that's where you should look out for these contrasting words. It will help you. We'll just do a few questions, and it will help you kind of, you know, come down to the correct answer. So any questions? So Gaurav, you know, there's a main conclusion. The main conclusion is usually the author of the we'll do one such question also. There can be main conclusion, there can be sub conclusion, there can be supporting conclusion also. Their conclusion word is very confusing, you know. So we'll do one such little tricky question as well. Okay. All right. So so just keep this in mind, the keyword part. So when we read, you know, I'll show you how to work with this. Okay, everybody ready to do some questions? Yes. So first one I will do with you, you know, first one I will solve. So I think Arun Lal was also there last time. Arun, were you there for the assumptions webinar? So did you go back and practice some of the tricks? Did it help you? Okay, great. So the first question I will solve with you. So stay with me, right? Don't take any notes, or don't try to write stuff. For the first question, just I will walk through the entire question, right? Okay. So let's read together. Okay. So real estate agent. So this is from the, you know, the author of this thing is a real estate agent. We know that, right? So let's read. Next year, now this is your boldface. This is your first boldface. I don't know whether you are able to see it on the screen or not. So, and this is your second boldface. There are two boldface here, right? It helps to first identify where the boldfaces are, then you read. Excuse me. Next year, the occupancy rate for residential rental properties in Riverton will increase despite projections of decreasing population, right? So we talked about finding some. So despite, so this in the first boldface itself, there he's saying two things. A will happen, in spite of B. So even though B is going to happen, A will also happen, and A and B are two two contradicting things, right? So in spite of A happening, B will happen. So there is a contradiction here. Generally, now this is not the boldface, right? Generally, when a city's population decreases, so does the occupancy rate. So this is a general rule, right? This is a general rule. It's not, though it's not underlined, though it's not boldface, you should know what this part does. However, so now it goes. So something like the sun rises in the east, however today it rose in the west, kind of thing, right? So however, so this is a general thing. However, in the continuing climate of increasing interest rates on home mortgages, an unusually large number of our residents who would typically buy homes will opt to rent instead, right? So he started by saying that the occupancy rental will increase, even though the population is decreased. So that these are two contradicting things that he is joining, right? That he is saying that this will happen in spite of this. Then the author also goes on to say that, well, generally it does not happen, but but then he tells that how the first thing will happen. He is giving a reason why the first thing will happen. So now let's look at the you guys understood the flow of the paragraph? Yes, they understood what is happening. It's very important to understand what is the author trying to say. Don't just look at the boldface and immediately jump into the answer option. That's a very wrong approach, right? Okay, now let's see. Let's try to eliminate. Eliminate by using these keywords that we talked about. These ones, right? Let's see. This will be easiest way to eliminate. So let's go. The first is a conclusion. Okay, it can be a conclusion. I'm not saying it is what he believes in, right? So I'm not eliminating this. The first is a consideration. Okay, well, it can be a reason also. The first describes a pattern of cause and effect. It's not a pattern, right? Because that does not happen generally, so it's not right. The first is agent's prediction. Yes, because of this word will, you can say it has not happened. He's predicting it may, The first is an undisputed statement. Definitely it's not a fact. So these two we are able to eliminate even without looking at the second portion. And we have not even till now we have not even read the entire first portion. We have just read. I looked at a few words and then eliminated. So B and E, C and E we have eliminated. Now we'll read carefully. The first portion itself we'll read carefully. Okay, before jumping into the second one. So the first is a conclusion drawn by the agent. Okay, I'm okay with that. The first is a consideration that weighs against this agent's prediction. No, this is wrong because the first itself is the agent's prediction. So it is not going against, right? It is not going against. So this is out. Let's say D. The first is the agent's prediction. Okay, so I'm left with A and D. Now let me read the second portion. The second is, now in option A it says, the second is evidence that weighs against. It is not weighing against, right? So this is out. Even without reading further, I know D is my correct answer. Everybody understood? So when you first yourself understand the layout of the argument, and then look for these keywords. You can just the contrast keywords, and even the contrast keywords, words such as against, oppose. So if you look for those things in your answer options, and you will be able to eliminate far easier. Anybody has any problems with this question? Anybody thinks anything else can be the answer? No, right? Okay, so so why don't you guys do one on your own? See, Priya, as I said, that your the boldface questions are higher difficulty level, so you will take more than average time. So if you are taking so if you're taking up to 2 minutes, it's fine. If you're taking up to 2 minutes with boldface, it's perfectly fine because they are higher difficulty level questions. Okay. So Rishiraj, however, despite, in spite of, so they indicate a change in tone. Let's say if I say I am hungry, however I don't want to eat, so my the hungry, me being hungry and me not wanting to eat are conflicting situations, right? So there is a contrast. Or if I say that I am a good student, however I failed my exam, or in spite of being a good student, I failed my exam. So whenever there is a however or in spite, despite, so they show a contrast in tone, right? Is that clear, Rishiras? These words, not just in your, even in your RC passages while reading, we'll do RC workshops also later on. So these indicate a change in tone, right? From positive it goes to negative, or from negative it may go to positive, right? So there is a change in tone. Okay, so let's try to, so why don't you guys try to do this question on your own? Everybody can see this question, please attempt it. Don't look at the answer options right now, just try to understand. Let me highlight the bold faces. Okay, have you read the paragraph at least? First read the paragraph. So throughout the paragraph, is there any change? Is there any change in the thought process? The paragraph started by saying that weight loss programs that guarantee results mislead their customers. So throughout the paragraph, is somewhere does it change to saying that, well, it actually does not mislead? Is there any change? No change, right? So that's one thing we know, that's one thing that should register, in your head that, that the author's standpoint is not changing. He's starting with something, then he's going on giving, proof or points to support that. Nowhere is he changing his line of thought. So if you find in the answer options now, if you find anything that says it goes against blah blah blah, so that you can blindly eliminate. Okay, everybody with me till now? Anuj, there is no change. It is just a fact. The authors, he started by saying that weight loss programs that guarantee results mislead their customers. Okay, he started with this sentence. Then he said no programs can ensure that someone who follows it will lose weight. Okay, so he's also saying the same thing, that he's continuing in the same, continuing the same thought, that weight loss programs that guarantee results mislead customers. Then these programs prey upon the unhappy and insecure people who are often driven by emotion than by reason. Okay, he's still saying that weight loss programs mislead. So till now there's no change. Moreover is just an additional, it is not however. Moreover means it is adding to whatever the author is saying. Many people who lose weight while on a program eventually regain their weight within a year. So if weight loss programs, they guarantee results, they are continuing to mislead people, right? So the same thought is being carried forward till now. Okay, now let's read. So while the program's claims may be true for a short period, customers will be disappointed in the long run. So throughout the entire paragraph, the main point of the author was that weight loss programs guarantee results mislead customers, and he ended with this. So there was no other conflicting or contrasting point that came into the paragraph. Anuj, are you clear? So Rishiraj, do you understand now how to read this paragraph? So you don't, if there was any thing saying however blah blah blah, then we would have known that, oh okay fine, so there are now two thoughts coming into the paragraph, right? So no contrast at all, same process going on. So just purely based on this, if you find an option that says the first boldface is going against, or second boldface is going against first, so that can be purely eliminated. Okay, now let's see. As I said, let's look at only the first. The first is a generalization. Well, it is not. What is a generalization? What is a generalization? A generalization is if I say that today when I was coming to office, the cab driver cheated me. No, therefore all cab drivers are cheaters. Right? That is a generalization. Or if I say my boss is very mean, therefore all bosses are mean. Now that is a generalization. I mean, based on specific thing, if you jump into a conclusion, right? But this is the first is definitely not a generalization. It is not talking about all weight loss programs. It is talking about those specific weight loss programs. You know that. So it is not generalized. It is specifying what kind of weight loss programs. If we did not have this portion, if the first sentence is like weight loss programs mislead their customers, then it would have been a generalization. In this case, we have something. So the author is saying what kind of weight loss programs. Therefore, it is not a generalization, right? Second, the first is the author's position. Well, it may be the author's position, so we cannot eliminate based on that. The first is an opinion under examination. Okay, you know, that is also fine. The first is an assertion. Okay, that the author questions. You know, I don't like the questions part. There is nothing, no questioning happening. No, when you question something, that means you are going against it. So remember, we talked about that there is nothing, no contrast happening. So anything that indicates any kind of questioning or opposing or going against has to be eliminated. Option E is the first is evidence. It is not evidence, so we'll stop right here. We will not even read further. So we are down to B and C. Okay, so let's read B. Let's read the second portion of B. That is, the second is a consideration. Consideration means what? Reason, right? Consideration is gives reason in support of that position. Yes, it is supporting. No, so this sounds like the correct answer, but let's read C also. The second is evidence weighing against. We don't like the word against. There is nothing against anything in this paragraph. So your C is out. B is the right answer. Yes? No, actually guys, don't reveal the answer options. Don't reveal the answer options, right? And I mean, I can run a poll, but you know, it will just... Hang on, let me try to set up a poll. Because I actually don't care whether you get it right or not. You know, I just want you to have the, you know, theories correct basically. So you can keep your answers to yourself, but anyway, I'm setting up a poll. Hang on. Okay, now all of you will say B, of course. So because you have already gone through the answer. Okay, right. Anybody has any questions? Can you please once again? Option E. Okay. Now option E. Option E, I didn't even reach the evidence part, right? What is evidence? Remember we talked about those keywords, right? What is evidence? Evidence is a fact. Is this a fact? Weight loss programs, where is the data here? This is not a fact. This is the author's opinion, or you know, this is totally the author's thing. You know, there is no proof. It is not proof. That's why it is. That's why it is wrong. Got it, Mahendra? Okay. Anybody has any questions on this one? So if you use these techniques, you know, just identify keywords, you know, then it will take you lesser time to eliminate options. It will also help you, you know, it will definitely help your accuracy. So try these techniques now with this question. Let me, it's a little difficult one, so let me give you another one. Yeah, let's do this first. So read very carefully, read the paragraph, right? Yes, everybody done? Okay. So let's read it. Most government agencies become less effective over time. Okay, so when you have practiced enough, you get to know that most government, this is definitely, this is not data, this is not fact, this is not evidence, this is not a finding, this is more likely the author's opinion, or his premise. So it can be his position as well, it can be his conclusion as well, right? But it is definitely not one thing that you can totally rule out is evidence or fact kind of thing, right? Moreover, keep an eye out for this, the most government agencies become. So it's like it is also a generalization, right? Because you don't have the that, so it can be many of those things. So just read further. So the author starts by saying, the author is a policy analyst, right? So we also know who the author is. So most government agencies become less effective over time. Okay, so he's not he's just giving this out as a statement. He's not saying whether it's right or wrong. Then some experts go so far as to recommend that every agency be eliminated after 10 years and created anew by replacing all of its existing personnel and revamping its bureaucratic structure. Okay, so then he said, well, most government agencies are get less effective, so some experts suggest this. Now he is not suggesting this, by the way, right? Please note, some experts, it is not his suggestion, it is not his recommendation. However, remember the keyword however. So whenever you say however, so whatever he is going to say next is kind of going against what some experts say. So however, this policy would be impractical. So if you follow what the experts are saying, it will be impractical, right? Since, why he is giving the reason. Look at the word since, it's another keyword. Whenever you have the word since, that means it's giving the reason why implementing the experts policy would not be practical. Is that certain government agencies perform vital functions such as blah 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 and therefore cannot afford even temporary upheaval. So the paragraph says that, well, this guy, he believes that most government agencies become less effective. Then there are some experts who say that, okay, to take care of this, we should do a rehaul, revamp every 10 years. Now author is against that, you know, suggestion, recommendation. He's saying that well this will not help, this is totally not practical, because some of the government agencies, they perform, you know, such vital functions that even for a temporary, you know, temporary period, they can, the upheaval or the changes will lead to, you know, major problems. So this is the whole thing. So here the author is not, you know, disagreeing with himself, by the way. So the two bold faces are not against, you know, they are not against each other, purely because, you know, this however stands for what the experts are saying, not his own thinking. Okay, so let's, you know, let's now look at the answer options. Okay, Karthik, you were saying that if you have a poll, you can explain the common mistakes made by people. See, I can't say the common mistakes made by people, because I am not going through your thought process. I don't know what thought process you have, so I can only explain the correct thought process and where you can go wrong if you are not careful. I can only do that, right? Okay, so let's read. The first is evidence. It is definitely not evidence, right? So this, based on this, you can eliminate. The first is a premise. Okay, you know, we stay with this. The first is a position. Okay, is a generalization. Definitely a generalization. Definitely a generalization. Okay, so we were, just by reading the first few words, we were able to eliminate one, you know, one of the options. Now let's read the first part more carefully. The first is a premise that the policy analyst accepts but argues against. I don't like this part. He is not saying anything. He is not saying that the government agencies are not less effective. He is not going against. He is just stating it. He is just saying that they become less effective. He is not saying whether he's not trying to defend that sentence. He's not giving proof about that sentence. His entire paragraph is not about proving or disproving the fact that they become less effective. He's just he's just kind of given it out as a statement, and that's it. So that's why your option B is wrong. The first is a position that the analyst argues against. Same problem. You know, he's the policy analyst or the author is not saying anywhere that he thinks that the agencies do not become less effective. Is he saying that? Is he saying anywhere that they do not, or is he proving, or anywhere? He's not even talking about whether the government agencies become or not become less effective, right? Yes? No, Priya, premise and evidence are not the same thing. Evidence or fact, premise can be the opinion. Premise is usually the opinion or thought process of the author. Premise, reason, yes, you are right. All of those are in the author's heads. But the evidence is a fact, something that cannot be disputed. So anyway, so this is also out, right? Now the first is a generalization that the policy analyst accepts as accurate, okay, and is used as the basis for an opinion that the analyst rejects. Well, it sounds good, so I cannot eliminate based on this. So let's read E. The first is a generalization that the policy analyst accepts as accurate and is used as a basis for the analyst's position. No, it is not used as the analyst's position, right? So but let's say you are not able to eliminate based on the first portion, then let's read the second portion. The second is a consideration used to defend the analyst's position. No, it's not, right? The second offers another consideration, so this also sounds, dicey, right? So your the second is there is a consideration used to defend the analyst's position. What is the analyst's position? That this policy would be impractical. So this is your closest answer. E is not the right answer. Okay. As I said, this is a little complicated. Read D carefully. The first is a generalization that the policy analyst accepts as accurate. So now between D and E till here there is no nothing to choose between. Used as, fine. the basis for an opinion that the analyst rejects, right? So this, which is true, the analyst rejects this opinion that some experts recommend. Now this opinion is based on this thing, so that's why it is a complicated thing. But if you read it, it's a generalization that the policy accepts as true. So based on this, the other experts, they have this opinion that okay, everything should be replaced within 10 years, and the author rejects it, the analyst rejects it, right? Now if you read option E, it says the first is a generalization, blah blah blah, the author accepts as accurate, and the basis of analyst position. It is not the basis of the analyst position. Actually the statement is not a basis of anything. He has just made this statement, that's it. Throughout the paragraph is not about this sentence at all. So it is not the basis of the analyst position, got it? Yes. So you have to read carefully, you have to understand what each portion is doing. Look out for keywords such as against, or goes, does not support, supports, etc. Yeah, the another consideration is not true, because there is for another to exist there has to be one more, right? When do you say another? If you say I want another tea, that means you already had one tea and now you need another one. So for the word another to exist, you need to have one more thing, but this does not have anything else. Yeah, that also, Priya, you could have done that as well. But more than that, again as I said, defend that position. What is the analyst position? So between this and this, between the second portions of these two, the only difference is your another part. Okay? Everybody clear with this? So Rishiraj, yes, we are recording this. We'll have a recording of this as well. Okay, C option. So does anybody else want to explain why C is wrong? That way we'll all be able to learn better. Yes, anybody wants to explain why C is wrong? Yeah, right. So Gaurav, as a lot of you have said, the author is not arguing against the fact that the government agencies become less effective. Throughout the whole paragraph, the author is not saying anywhere that no government effectives do not become less effective. So the author does not argue against the first part, right? So you don't even have to go to the second portion. Even the first, the word against, that is enough. The author is not saying anywhere that he does not think that the government agencies become less effective. So it is not going against anywhere. So you just need to, again, I think those of you who attend our classes, you probably know our approach is to try to find just one reason to eliminate. There can be multiple reasons for an option to be wrong. You just have to find one. That's it. And the sooner you find that one, the lesser time it will take for you to solve the question. So that's why we do one portion at a time. There can be problem with the second portion as well. But if you are able to eliminate based on the first portion, great. Don't have to worry about what the other stuff is. Just have to find one reason to eliminate. Elimination is the strategy that you have to go with, for boldface. Eliminate whatever is left is the correct answer. Okay. So Sanjay, I think maybe I have deleted. So there are a couple of email IDs where you can, where you can email to request the recordings. One is webinars@jamboreeindia.com, right, and one is okay. So everybody who have been here, like I think some of you joined a little late. So rest of you, so are you getting is your confidence level increasing a bit with Boldface? Are you still equally scared? Okay, good. It will definitely make a science out of it. It's not that difficult, right? The why now reason, the reason why students get scared of Boldface is that the answer options are extremely intimidating. They have so many technical words, just that the first is evidence offered in support of an opinion that the policy analyst rejects. It's like way too technical. It sounds like a legal document, actually, almost like a legal document. The second offers information that contradicts that, and it actually sounds like a legal document. That's why everybody gets scared of Boldface. The answer options are way too technical and they sound like legal, like like some legislature. Sounds like some legal document. So Arun Lal, I think you joined a little late. So I think the recordings of this we are planning to put this up on a YouTube channel. So once we do that, so just keep you got a YouTube link, right? So that may not be live yet. That may not be live yet. So what you can do is just keep an eye on that. We should have the recordings of all the webinars live. This we are planning to do it today itself. We are planning to make the recordings live on YouTube today itself. Okay, so let's try to do one more. This is a this is like the highest difficulty level GMAT question. In GMAT they have different types of difficulty levels, right? This is like, this question is of the absolutely highest difficulty level. So I it's okay if you don't get it right, but I like to use this question to showcase the Boldface techniques. And there are very few questions to use, but this is a question which helps you go solve any kind of Boldface questions if you just follow whatever we have discussed till now, right? So take your time and read this. Don't look at the answer options now, right? Let's do it stepwise. Don't look at the answer options, just read. Okay, as I told you, this question is extremely, it is of the highest difficulty. Now in this, there are 4 types of people. Author, there is United Energy, there is some environmentalists, and there are some experts, right? So there are 4 people who are saying stuff in this paragraph. Everybody agrees with me? So United Energy recently invested in a series of large windmills which are able to produce renewable energy with minimal negative effect to the environment. Okay, so this is a fact. This is a fact. The company has not drilled oil wells in the same area, even though. So remember I told you to look for contrast words, right? So even though is a contrast word. So greater revenues and profits could be generated from oil wells, right? So this is a fact, but the company is not drilling in the soil. So it's contradictory, right? So there is this statement that says company has not drilled oil wells in the same area, even though greater revenues and profits could be generated from oil wells. Okay, so now what you need to understand is that only a portion of the sentence is boldface, not entire. Okay, now let's read further. Because gives reason. Okay, so why is the company, so let's read further. Because any drilling would disrupt the native habitat of certain marine species in the area. So because of this, some environmentalists, drilling will disrupt the natural habitat of some marine species, and the United Energy is not drilling. So based on this fact, some environmentalists assert is what they feel, their opinion, right? They assert that by foregoing this drilling, that means by not drilling, United Energy has established that it places environmental impact over financial reasons. So now this portion is related to the environmentalists. So this is what the environmentalists are feeling, that United Energy has it gives more importance to environment than to its finances, right? And why does it feel that? Because drilling would disrupt the environment, and United Energy is not drilling. So based on these 2 facts, the environmentalists are saying that United Energy gives more importance to environment. Now you see the word however, again contrast. However, United Energy may be acting in a manner consistent with financial goals. What is it? Well, some environmentalists may feel that, but actually, UAE is actually acting in a manner in line with its financial goals, and then it goes to give reason. Why they feel that, reason. Now this is all the author. This portion the author is saying, right? This portion the author is saying. The author is connecting the dots. Recent patterns of increasing annual hurricane activity have some experts now questioning the long-term viability and profitability of oil wells. Okay, so what the author is saying, that there are some experts who are saying that because of the increased hurricane, the oil wells in that area will probably not remain profitable or not remain viable long term, and maybe the United Energy's decision to stop digging and to move to windmills is probably fueled by that rather than the consideration for the environment, unlike what the environmentalists feel. Got it? Everybody understood? There are 4 players in this paragraph. There is United Energy. United Energy is not saying anything. It is just doing, right? It has just purely invested in large windmills and stopped digging. So that's what they have done, right? So everybody else is kind of interpreting that action. Environmentalists feel that, well, they are doing that for the sake of the environment, so therefore they are like really good company. They give more significance to the environment, and they are not going to let their financial interest impact the environment. So that is the interpretation of some environmentalists, right? Then there is experts, who are saying that, well, because of the increased hurricane, so oil digging is anywhere not going to remain that lucrative. आज के date में maybe it is generating greater revenue, but for long term it is not going to. Now the author is saying that he kind of agrees with this. He does not agree with the environmentalist. See, when you are reading a CR argument, all that matters is the author's viewpoint, right? You are answering questions based on the author's viewpoint. So the author does not agree with the environmentalist. The author agrees with these experts who say, so he does not feel that United Energy is whatever it's doing, it's out of consideration for the environment. He feels that, well, whatever they are doing is totally in sync with their financial financial goals. They are not hampering their financial goals for the environment. Environment is not, that's not what they are taking into consideration while deciding to invest in windmills, right? Understood the flow, everybody? Everybody understood the flow? Anybody has any questions regarding this? Because see, as I said, in this question, if you get the flow correct, if you understand, what the author is agreeing to, what the author is not agreeing to, then you will not have any problem solving the. So since now that everybody, all of you have said that you have understood the argument, now look at the options and try to solve it. Is everybody done? Sorry, everybody done? Okay. Now let's read the first portion only. Let's look at the first boldface only. Okay, what is the first boldface? Greater revenues and profits could be generated from oil wells. Okay, that is the first boldface. Option A says the first supports the conclusion of the argument. Yes or no? What is the conclusion of the argument? Conclusion of the argument is same as the conclusion of the author. The author is saying that United Energy is moving to windmills because oil wells will no longer remain profitable, right? That is the argument. That is the conclusion of the argument, and conclusion of the argument is the conclusion of the author. I mean, the conclusion of the author is the conclusion of the argument. So the first actually does not support the conclusion of the argument. Does the first statement support the conclusion of the argument? No, right? Everybody clear? Okay. The first states the conclusion of the argument. Definitely not. You know, what do you mean by states the conclusion? States the conclusion means is the conclusion. Now look out for these words. When you say that the first states the conclusion, so that means the first is the conclusion, right? So it is not a conclusion at all. The first is not a conclusion at all. Doesn't matter whose conclusion it is. The first is not a conclusion. The first supports the environmentalist conclusion. Well, yeah, it seems to, right? So let's not eliminate it. The first states the states the environmental. It doesn't matter. Again, the first is not a conclusion at all. Does not matter whose conclusion. The first is not a conclusion. The first supports the conclusion of the argument. Same problem as this. So C is your answer. Now, if you read C thoroughly, the first supports the environmentalist conclusion and second states that conclusion. So what is the second? UE has established that it places. So now this is the conclusion of whom? The environmentalists. And we already said that the environmentalists came to this conclusion based on these two things. That, you know, even though in spite of the greater revenue coming from oil digging, the drilling, the UAE has stopped drilling. So based on these two things, they have come to this conclusion, right? So your C is your correct answer. So everybody, you know, this actually, once you understand the main argument, this is a very easy question, but you have to understand the flow of the argument. Anybody has any questions? Anybody thinks anything else should have been the answer? Okay, option A and option E, you know, the first part is the same. It says the first supports the conclusion of the argument. So option A and E has the same beginning, you know. The first supports the conclusion of the argument. Now what is the conclusion of the argument? The conclusion of the argument is that you know, United Energy, you know, just they have moved to windmills because like the long term, the oil wells in that area will not have any long term viable and profitable. So if that is the conclusion, then how can this support? Because this statement is saying that well, greater revenues and profits could be generated from oil wells. The conclusion is saying that it need not necessarily. So option A and E, they have the same problem with the first portion, right? Yes, conclusion of the argument is the conclusion of the author. Sometimes they are in like in the next question and all that we saw, that sometimes who the author is can be given. It will be given that, oh, the policy analyst is the author. So don't let that derail you, right? Okay, so little more confident now, everybody. So as homework, you know, so just go look at the I think by Monday or Tuesday it should be up. Look at the recording, today's recording thoroughly. Solve whatever boldface questions you have in your book 2 and OGs and all using this, right? Using the things that we discussed today. The next Saturday we'll begin with a few more boldface questions, right? Because there are very few official boldface questions, I don't want to do it, you know, like, you know, today itself, because today you guys need some time to go back and practice. So go back and practice these techniques on the boldface questions that you have seen. Next Friday 12 o'clock when we will have another CR session, so we'll start with some boldface questions so that it will help you find out whether, you know, you have, you know, improved or not. Darshan, I don't know, but just flip through it, you know, just flip through it. I don't remember off the top of my head. Priya, yes, the main conclusion of the argument is always what the author agrees with. So OG book 2, whatever how many whatever boldface questions you have access to, right? Try these techniques out there. look out for keywords. Remember, this will help you. And time yourself, do time yourself. Time yourself means, now don't try to solve the question in one. What I'm trying to say is that keep a record of how many minutes it's taking you. So for instance, this question, if it takes you 3 minutes also, it's fine, because it's an extremely difficult one. But on an average, just keep a track of how much time it's taking you to solve a to solve a boldface question. Especially now, if you apply these methods of identifying the keywords and reading to understand how the layout goes, etc. Okay guys, have a nice weekend.